Hello, this is Jeffrey Fox again, and we're starting a new lesson on web searches with a rather historical perspective coming from these neat slides I found online. And the nicest thing actually about these slides are um, these slides here, which are really beautiful pictures of old libraries and put the origin of web search back in these libraries from the past. The Sumerian archives with 25,000 clay tablets, and which were mainly records of commercial transaction. The Great Library of Alexandria, which was meant to hold all the world's books, that had 750,000 scrolls at its when it was at its best. I think it ran into trouble, but that's sometimes good things run into trouble. In fact, usually good things run into trouble. It's just the nature of being right. You always get jumped up and down on. Then we had, here's some beautiful libraries, um, which were often associated with monks because monks didn't have so much to do, so they did a lot of the copying, hand copying before the printing press was invented in around 1450, which of course really spread books around and also made libraries far more important because they were accessible to a great deal of other people. And Vatican obviously has a very rich and important library associated with the history of the Roman Catholic Church. Now we come to modern libraries. These are German slides, so they mention the German National Library, which had 25 million items. The Library of Congress in the US has 150 million items. I suspect if I went and found the um, other countries will be somewhere between German and the Library of Congress. Um, According to the Guinness Book of Records, the Library of Congress is the largest library there is. And they have a Library of Congress classification, which is coming back to these keywords. And in some sense, these classifications are important because you do need to organize the contents of the web. And libraries have been organizing things for 1,000 years. Well, actually, a little older if you go back to Sumerian times. But since the printing press, there's been 600 um, 550 years, and libraries have just been diligently working during that time organizing things. And that organization has principles that actually help web search. So here we have the key concept of metadata, which we've already discussed under the semantic web. I pointed out author and editor and things like that, or in the Dublin core. A keyword tend to be part of the core metadata, and they just specify in areas which are covered by the book. And this was the historical way. These little 3x5 cards or whatever they are were the traditional way that you capture the book for searching. So it's very different because you can do full text searches in a practical fashion. You tend not to use 3x5 cards. And that's what we come to, the full text search. The catalog cards are a proxy or a representation of the book in a small space. And they're what you used to have. But you have to have a very good classification scheme, and actually good classification schemes were designed. So it has to be rich enough to actually have some content and simple enough to be implementable. It still has this huge problem, which is really the fatal problem, which is why I say the semantic web doesn't work so well. That was essentially associating metadata with every web page. That will never work. There are too many web pages. There are not so many books, and so people did tend to associate catalog items with books. And in full text search, it's just taking every word of the book and making it a keyword. And it doesn't require any manual work because that can all be automated using our diligent computers, especially if we have 10 million of them sitting around waiting to work for us. Concordances, where the sort of precursor of full text searches. I never used to use concordances, but they were produced for special books like the Bible. And I gather this fellow Hugo took 500 monks and made a concordance of the Bible in 1250. And here's an example of how the important words here, the ones beginning with I in the Bible, and basically maps the words to where they appear in the Bible. So that's the end of that basic discussion of web search and the relationship between previous library works. The next lesson will discuss other fundamental principles behind web search.